On today's show, we're going to catch up on all the Disney news that we've missed during all these trips we've been taking. That's coming up next on Traveling with the Mouse. Welcome, everybody, to episode 263 of Traveling with the Mouse. I'm your host this week. I am Adam, and I'm joined by John.
Parsley, parsnips.
Parlay?
Parlay! That's the one. Parlay. Parlay means speak, so I guess it kind of works, right? Anyway.
Is that what we're doing? Parlaying
Yes.
each other?
We are parlaying. I wish to speak with the captain. So I am speaking with the captain of this show.
Yes,
right?
I guess. I'm steering the ship. I don't think anyone else is going to join this episode, but their invite is out there if they...
Open invitation.
Yeah, to our other co-hosts, but they have yet to oblige, so...
Well, they found another podcast that was paying more money, and they decided to go...
Wait, you're getting paid?
For that podcast. Right. Exactly. I decided to go to that podcast. So
I see. Who pays for guests?
Who pays for guests? I don't think anyone does.
All right. We've missed about a month worth of news at this point, maybe, or close to it. Somewhere around there, give or take.
3 weeks.
At least 3 weeks, sure.
Worth. Yeah.
So we're going to go way back in time now. Now we're just going to comb through some stories and mention any that stand out to us.
Sure. Discuss them.
One of the old ones that we were just talking about before we started was this Disneyland Paris cast member that got fired for breaking up a proposal in front of the castle there.
Oh, yes, I do remember that now. Seems like that was so long ago.
It was a long time ago. But the thing I was going to bring up, if we had talked about this 3 weeks ago, was it looked like the guy who was proposing, first of all, he was wearing like all white and like a white t-shirt and white jeans. Like, come on, dude. Amen. You're going to propose in that?
He's trying to show his purity.
Yeah. Anyway, so it looked like they were standing on like a stage that you weren't supposed to be standing on. And so I think that's why the cast member broke it up, like interrupted. And like he literally grabbed the ring out of the guy's hand and was like, nope, we're not doing this. Nope. But he's the one that got fired, even though I feel like they were not supposed to be standing where they were standing. I could be wrong, but based on what I saw of the video, it looked like they were not supposed to be where they were.
So what you're saying is he possibly got fired for just doing his job.
Basically, that's what I see. But again, this story's so old, I don't remember all the details anymore.
If that's the case, then I imagine we'll be reporting on a lawsuit sometime in the near future.
I mean, the guy got fired because the video went viral, and people overwhelmingly were like, oh, that's not cool. Why would you break up a proposal?
But anyway. Because they're proposing where they shouldn't be. I mean, like, how about this? If someone decided to, I don't know, take their significant other onto the stage of an attraction and then get down on one knee and propose, would you blame the cast member for removing them and tell them they're not doing that there? I mean, it's kind of, circumstances do matter.
Right. Let's get off of the boat at Frozen and now let me propose to you in front of Anna and Elsa.
Right.
Like, you can't do that.
Speaking of which, don't people just do some of the craziest stuff nowadays on attractions just why? Like, no respect whatsoever.
Yeah.
Putting hands in water or getting out of boats to try and grab fruit.
Right, yeah, at the land, yeah. Or Splash Mountain, someone was like sticking their feet out of the boat or something.
Yeah. I mean, just stupid stuff. I mean, the average, well, I ain't going to say average. There's a lot of park guests that just particularly are getting, like, testing the limits, I think, especially since the number of cast members is not where it once was, especially.
Yeah.
It's very fortunate that the ones that are like at rope drop and stuff are getting the cooperation that they are, because they definitely couldn't do anything about it if people decided they wanted to storm.
Right. I've seen people smoking cigarettes too, like off to the side if they find a spot.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's kind of been going on for a while, truthfully, but...
Right. Well, they used to have smoking areas, but now there's nothing in the parks, but...
They still try to pick their moments.
So, here's another one that I didn't notice, but Adventurers Outpost is open in Animal Kingdom, the meet and greet. Looks like it opened a week ago, According to
say
this.
it wasn't open 2 weeks ago. That much I know.
It says June 19th.
Yeah.
And there's a lightning lane for it. So if you want to meet Mickey and Minnie, Mickey and Minnie,
Mickey and Mickey.
Mickey and Mickey.
Disney has successfully done the character cloning program.
It is Pride Month, so Mickey and Mickey can be Happy Pride Month, everyone.
Okay.
You can be.
If it was Mickey and Mickey, I think that would be taking self-love to the next level. So.
Well, it could be Mickey and then a guy named Mickey.
Okay. Anyway.
I don't know where I'm going with that. What else? What's another one? Darth Vader, Star Wars Launch Bay is going to open July 17th. So you can meet Darth Vader again.
Yeah, all this stuff has started, well, you say that's starting or has started after I've been there, of course, kind of like usual. So I know for a fact the Adventurers Outpost was closed while we were there because that's where we ate our ice cream or whatever over there in that area. And we actually had someone come up because they saw us sitting on the wall there, and they actually had someone come up and was like, is that about to open or anything? I was like, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's not, especially since the thing is covered up and
yeah,
there's no lights on in the building. They were coming out. I was like,
Doors
I'm pretty
locked,
sure.
Lights are on.
Yeah.
It's covered.
I was like, I'm pretty sure they're not showing today.
Speaking of meet and greets, Minnie Mouse is going to be at Town Square Theater as well, joining Mickey. But does that mean they'll be together, or that means you can do either or?
Well, in my mind, when I hear the words joining Mickey, it sounds like they'll be together.
Together, yeah.
That's
That'd
what it
be
sounds
cool.
like to me.
So it sounds like it'll be the same, like Adventures Outpost again.
The real shocker would be if it said Talking Mickey returns.
Yeah, that won't happen. That was a cool one, though. I do miss that one.
But in the name of consistency, right? This no longer. No, that wasn't it.
Well, it was in the, like, people tried to trip him up, and then they would try to make it go viral.
Right, because it wasn't perfect. You know, one thing I didn't mention in my trip report, since you're talking about character interaction, you know that, what's the name of that robot that's roaming over in the Guardians area? We actually interacted with him when we went to Guardians.
Oh, I never actually have seen it, so that's cool.
Unfortunately, I didn't capture the interaction on video. I didn't have it out at the time. It was just Maddie and I, and we wheeled over there, and he just happened to be walking our way at the time, and he interacted and talked with Maddie, of course, and we gave fist bumps.
Huh.
So it was pretty neat.
Very cool. Another story that I had sent you guys, the Indiana Jones movie prop merch, essentially, that's going to be available at Disney World, Disneyland, and Shop Disney. Namely, the Grail cup of a carpenter.
Oh, yeah.
An Indy jacket, which doesn't look that great to me. But the idol from Raiders of the Lost Ark, the beginning, the Crystal Skull, and a Sankara stone from Temple of Doom. That looks awesome.
Why they glow like that?
Any guesses as to how much the stuff is, though? I looked at the prices now. The prices are out because
Like $100.
For what?
I don't know. The jacket.
The jacket is actually $400.
Yeah, I was going to say, I figured it would be more than that.
It's a leather jacket.
$100 for the Sankara stone.
The Sankara stone is $80, but it does glow, so that's cool. How much do you think the idol is? Give me the idol. Give me the whip.
It's pretty costly for Speedo.
Yes, very costly for him.
$200.
$130.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming you can get an AP discount in the parks, though. So, not too bad. The Crystal Skull is $250. Who in the world would ever buy that?
I'm sure somebody is.
Ugh. The Holy Grail is $49.99.
Okay, so the cup of a carpenter, literally, like they even priced it like one.
Right.
Compared to the other items.
Right. So it turns out that is the price of immortality, $49.95. Anyway, but I totally want the Grail and the Sankara stone because they look so awesome. But
well, I'll get you the idol if you give me the whip.
Yeah, sure. What do you mean by that? You want me to give you the whip?
I'll throw you the idol if you throw me the whip.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll say adios.
Adios. Yeah, I'm sure you would. But we were talking earlier about characters. Mirabelle is joining the cavalcades at the Magic Kingdom.
What about Mirabelle?
We're trying to catch up on a lot of news here, so.
Well, speaking of big, the Big Blue and Beyond apparently has been a big flop. It seems like They've actually started cutting shows out, canceled shows.
Oh, that's the new show. Yeah,
The new version of that stage show. They have actually had to cancel some of the shows because of lack of audience.
Yeah. Okay. Well, doesn't surprise
some
me.
of some of the show times.
Maybe people don't want to watch shows anymore.
Well, I mean, there's some that people still show up for, but this one's been gone for so long. I don't really think that they've sufficiently advertised that it's back. Maybe, or maybe they just got to where they got used to not going to it, or they're doing other things. I don't know. It has not been popular thus far, and there's been plenty of people there. So who knows what the problem is? I've not watched the new show. I mean, just from looking at the pictures, it looks like it's in the same spirit as the previous show, so I don't know what's different.
Yeah, I was not a fan. I thought that was a waste of time when I did it years ago, so.
Maybe our influence is the reason for the show. Maybe your influence is the reason why people aren't going.
Well, speaking of shows I would go back to, the Hoop-Dee-Doo is back.
Yay!
Which I'm happy about. I've seen several people post videos of it, but I haven't watched all of it. So would you do the Hoop-Dee-Doo again?
I would. They did something a little different with the food, if I'm not mistaken. Have you seen that?
I saw some pictures of the food, but it was still ribs, though, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. I saw some comments. I can't find them right this minute, but it's one of those things I'll have to reserve judgment for if and when I do it again. That's the thing. I don't know when it would be I would do it again. I might have it might be a minute before I get the opportunity. We'll see, though.
It's still one of the best, to me, values of overall because of you get the entertainment, you get the food, you get unlimited drinks, including alcohol, tips, gratuities already included in the price you pay at the beginning.
That just blows my mind that they include alcohol in the bottomless. That's just...
yeah. That, where's that ever happened? It never happens.
Especially on Disney property.
Yeah, especially, yeah. So
anyway. Actually, I take that back. Disney, as an example we've seen with James talking about, remember in just the episode we had last week, I guess at this point, or the last episode, talking about what he paid for a lunch at SeaWorld.
Yeah, that's true.
Disney's food prices thus far, now I can't say that it won't change, has it really gone up marginally in comparison maybe? The one thing I did see is their sides seem to have gone up significantly if you're just buying sides. I saw somewhere where they said it was something ridiculous, like a 50% increase or something like that on sides. So, but I haven't normally just bought just a side usually, you know what I mean, when I go to. So that might be why I haven't noticed the overall price shock.
Yeah, I agree, though. When you think about some other places, you go to other places, you're like, oh, wow, this is really pricey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you think, well, Disney's, some things aren't that bad. And the food is actually pretty good in most cases at Disney.
Yeah, the food prices in comparison to what you get on a regular basis is not that much of a markup. It's not as big of a difference as you used to would see, at least not currently. The gap may widen as time goes on, but at this moment, it's not so bad, depending on, supply chain and how much it's costing them and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But even if you think about table service, the markup is only, on average, $20 to $30 more than the average, restaurant you would go to. That's on average, with the exception of a couple of places. Right. The really high dollar ones is different, but I'm talking about the average table service, I think.
Yeah, I would say it's not astronomically higher.
Right. Unless, of course, you're doing, price included or all you can eat, family style, all that stuff. Your biggest problem there is you're paying $30 per kid, no matter what their age.
Yeah.
Have I said that before? I think I've complained about that a time or two.
Maybe.
Anyway,
Hoop-Dee-Doo's back. I've only heard very minor changes, not anything major to the show itself, so I haven't watched it yet, but...
Yeah, I would find it hard to believe they would need to change anything major outside of when they changed the copyrighted stuff here a few years back.
Right. I think some people were wondering if there would be major overhaul to the show since it had been closed for a couple of years, but...
I would doubt they would have time to do anything to it, truthfully. They would have to rehearse and all that good stuff. I don't think that's been a...
Right. Why change it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it either. So.
Right.
Well, I know some of the recent news was because of it being mid-year exactly, Disney released some stuff about Christmas. And I'm going all over the place, by the way, with the news, but whatever.
It doesn't matter. One topic to the next.
Yeah. Cosmic Rewind getting the Christmas song overlay
Oh yeah,
That sounds pretty cool. They didn't mention the songs, did they? I didn't see
not
anything
yet.
specific.
Yeah, just that
I
it would
can,
happen.
I'm guessing like Wham! Last Christmas. I'm trying to think of what would be.
You're thinking of '80s type songs that they would put.
Yeah,
In?
what would be? What would be?
What was another big '80s Christmas song?
I don't know. The California Raisins, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Of ones that happened in the '80s.
Right. Trying to put myself back in that time frame.
For some reason, the next one that comes to my mind is that collaboration. Do they know it's Christmas? I don't know why that came to mind, but I don't know if that would work in the ride.
What about I mean, I know this is technically like late '70s, but what about McCartney's "Wonderful Christmas Time"? That's kind of funky,
Yeah.
you know. It could work.
Well, some of the songs that they used were in the '70s, right? I mean, Disco Inferno was in the '70s.
Oh, okay,
and so
right.
was
Okay.
so was
So-
September. So
All right, so maybe "Wonderful Christmas Time." I don't know if it's upbeat enough, but
heck, if they're going to do that, they could just go ahead and do "Rocking Around the Christmas Tree." I mean, why not?
yeah, why not? They could probably do stuff like that, actually, wouldn't they? Maybe I'm thinking what Beach Boys or something too, like the Run.
That Santa Claus song? Yeah, I don't think that would really go very well with it. But I mean, you know,
Alvin and the
good.
Chipmunks.
Right. Playing that while you're riding through the ride. I don't think that quite has a flow to it.
It'll be interesting to see what those are. I'm curious because I'm like, I think it's cool, but I'm like, is it gonna be cool?
I
don't know.
personally, I still think my idea of the classic energy music overlay would be perfect
Yeah,
if they decide to do that for one track, maybe like a special track.
we're going back
Yeah,
into the '80s Epcot.
we're going back to feel the flow. Here we go. No,
Top of the World Lounge is going to be a villain's lair, which I think our our joke on social media didn't land with people who don't know.
or people just didn't
Dr.
see it,
Evil.
though. Yeah, you didn't notice, folks, that lounge looked an awful lot like
Dr. Evil's
Dr. Evil's Starbucks lair
from Spy Who Shagged Me.
Right. Come on, there was definitely a resemblance there.
I mean, honestly, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw that picture of the windows. I was like, that looks like an evil lair that I remembered from my childhood. But yeah, most people, maybe people aren't familiar anymore.
It's
The Dr. Evil
been 23 years this summer since The Spy Who Shagged Me. Yeah.
Well, I don't see much of a villain's theme. Do you, though, in there?
Not in what they've shown, no. But
In the
I'm sure there'll
pictures?
be something.
Like, where's the villain theme here? Okay.
I just
see
kind of rolled my eyes when I saw that. I'm like, yep, why not? It's the Chapek era. I'm not shocked at all.
it. Yeah. It needs to be themed to something.
IP, I mean, it can't just be a bar. It can't just be a lounge. There has to be something special, specifically named to it.
So, what is this rumor about the Fuzzy Tauntaun going away or changing? Is it because did too many people complain about it?
What would be the complaint?
That your mouth goes numb?
Just too fuzzy?
They try to warn you, and like I thought it was cool, but it's basically like Novocaine or something.
I was like, I think it's cool that my mouth goes numb.
No, but it's kind of tingly.
It's like, hi there.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting a root canal, but
I'm going to say, so they start playing some music, some easy listening in the background.
hey, kids, you wouldn't happen to have a cup of warm water, would you?
Yes, what I was thinking of that. One of the best tweets I remember seeing one time, I forgot it was a while back, it was, God, what's his name? Richard Marks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember him? He made some kind of a comment with a tweet. He said something about going to the dentist office just to hear his music or something like that. I can't remember what it was. It's pretty
Well,
funny.
It has that vibe, yeah. It's funny.
Yeah.
Right on. Oh, DVC Studios opened for Grand Floridian recently. Big
Oh,
Pine
yes.
Key building
That's
has been transitioned into DVC Studios. That grand opened this week. I like what they did with them, though. They look great.
Do they look amazing enough for you to pay $1 million?
I mean, no, but but this is the kind of theming I like, which it is IP theming in some respects because it's Mary Poppins but it's very subtle. Like the chandelier in the room has like these little glass birds, like feed the birds, right? There's some art on the wall that's very subtle, Mary Poppins.
So if you choose to feed the birds on the lamp, do they get fat?
They could.
They become fat birds?
Possible. The wallpaper, very subtle. I think they did an amazing job with this. It's not over the top.
Yeah.
It's not like a whole mural on the wall with Moana on it or something, or Incredibles like all over the place. Like, this is classy, subtle, but Disney.
You were already in love with the Grand, so
Right. I knew you were gonna go there. Like, I defend the Grand. I'm the only one that defends the Grand Floridian here, but
you're not the only one. I think James has a desire to stay there. I don't really have much of a desire to stay there.
If it wasn't, outrageously expensive, I would stay there way more often. But
well, even when the price point was closer to Poly, we always chose Poly still. So, kind of should tell you where my loyalties lie, I guess.
Given the choice between the two of them,
yeah, I would always choose Poly.
Since we're talking Christmas again, since I just did a Grinch reference, the prices and dates for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party were released. And when I saw the prices, I was like, man, really? I knew they were going to use last year's, like, half experience with a jacked up price to say, hey, we're charging more, but you're getting the old party back, But
because didn't they get the old party back last year, technically? I mean, they had a lot of stuff on it last year.
But it wasn't the Mickey's Very Merry. It was, what do they call it? It was something else.
I know, but I remember they had a lot more offerings in comparison to last year's Halloween.
Right.
Yeah.
But this year's like back to the full swing of it. But the cheapest one for an adult is 4 dates in November are $149 per adult, $139 for kids.
That's the cheapest one.
That used to be like the closest to Christmas price. I think last year though they charged $250, wasn't it? For
it was over $2, and now they're just under $2.
Yeah,
so
$199.
The high end went down.
Yeah, so $199 on the high end, $149 on the low end, and that's if you're going pre-Thanksgiving.
So they really just kind of closed the gap between
right
the prices, more or less. They just say we'll raise the low end up a little and bring the high end back a little. Just dial it back a little.
Remember the days when you could get in for $80?
I remember it being less than that.
Yeah, I'm just talking 3-4 years ago. Like, it was like the Christmas parties were always a little more than Halloween because there was fewer of them. But come on,
I seem to recall adding a Christmas party for about $50.
Yeah, that's probably right, yeah. I feel like the last one, Christmas party-wise, I did, it was probably like $95 a ticket. And that was probably 2018?
The last time I did a party of any kind was the Halloween one, but then it was just me.
Yeah.
But then it was just me, and that was Halloween, but I don't remember what it was, how much it was at that point in time. It was 2019. The time that I went and everybody went was the Christmas party, and that was 2017. That was pre-cruise. We went to the Very Merry Christmas Party. Gosh, I don't remember what the price was then. I mean, obviously it was higher than what I just mentioned a minute ago. But
the lowest price, though, was like $50 more than...
It was still sub 100, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Even then.
Most... again, maybe my memory might be fuzzy tauntaun here, but that was a callback.
You might have had a fuzzy tauntaun, and that's why you can't.
My brain may have had a fuzzy tauntaun, but I don't remember the most... I feel like the most expensive one was less than the cheapest one here today, back in like 2019.
Perhaps.
But anyway, so this is like still crazy expensive for a 4-hour or 5-hour party. 5-hour party.
For a 3-hour tour?
3-hour tour. So 7... You can get in at 7 to midnight, but you can get in at 4. So 4 to midnight on the party nights, just like the olden times. It says annual pass holder and DVC can save $10 per ticket, Whoop whoop.
Well, I'll just be right there.
Yeah. Tickets go on sale.
Let me buy now.
Already. If you're a hotel guest, you can book June 30th, July 7th for all other guests. That's interesting. If you already have a hotel for those dates, maybe? Is that what they're saying?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
And it says select hotels, so it probably means deluxe. Anyway, so would you do a Christmas party at this price?
Honestly, just because I know what they're offering in comparison to what they used to offer, I'm going to say it's going to be a no for me, dog. I don't really think I don't have a desire to do it right now.
Pass. Yeah.
Because most of this other stuff I can kind of get without the party.
Yeah. I love the Christmas party. I think it's my favorite event.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would.
I don't have such a grand desire to do it. I guess if I had people with me that just badly wanted to do it, I probably still would. But just looking at it, having done it before, and I'm thinking, just knowing the difference in the price versus what I'm getting. Unless I see that there is some grand addition that's going to make it feel more worth it, I don't see the need to do it personally. That's just me.
We're still talking $600 to $700 for my group to go for a 5-hour party. Man, that's just a lot.
Well, just think, you still having an annual pass, assuming you still had it renewed at that point in time, you wouldn't feel like that would be as bad. But just imagine if you had paid, say, a 5-night park hopper tickets, and then you added this as well.
Right. Or I guess, some people do, if you're buying the day ticket, you just buy a 4 and then buy the party tickets as your 5th day, and then you just show up at 4.
Right.
Which a lot of people do, but...
Which is still kind of hard to do, because doesn't your clock on your 4-day start the moment you use them? Yeah, but it has an expiration date that's not exactly 4 days from that day, I don't think, right? Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think so, yeah.
I could be wrong on how it works now, but I know the only other time that I did something like that, I had a certain number of days ticket, but I actually did the party the first day, so it wouldn't have mattered one way or the other. So.
I imagine, though, you wouldn't have to get a reservation because your party ticket is your reservation for that day. So
I don't know if I would chance it, truthfully.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it would. That would stink, though, if you're like, well, you didn't reserve your park, so.
Gosh. Can I go on record and just say that is the absolute worst idea that they've ever had, and they praise it as one of the best ideas they ever had? I mean, okay, to go on a gripe.
Yes, let's do it for
a moment.
John's gripe session. Here's the new segment. Let's go.
I had kind of mentioned to you, I don't think I mentioned it on the show, that I'm really on the fence about even renewing the annual pass at all, because...
Yeah.
Did I mention on the show?
You did. I think so.
Okay. But my arguments were, I get there, I'm still having to pay more, nickel and diming, to have not even to guarantee a good experience, to have a possibility of a good experience of not waiting in line. So I have to buy a not guaranteed, potentially good experience versus I could get a guaranteed good experience for free prior with FastPass Plus.
Yeah.
So that kind of puts a damper on all that stuff. But the discount that I get for rooms is similar to, if not the same, as what they offer the average person at certain points in times.
Yeah.
Or for Disney Plus subscribers or something like that, like they've had recently. So it's about the same. Okay? The dining discounts, just about every place you go that you can get an AP 10% discount, you could also get a Disney Visa discount, which I also happen to have. So really, I get it no matter what, right? I get it with or without the annual pass when it comes to dining. The only real place where I see a significant savings is merchandise. That 20% off of that on that.
Yeah. Is it worth it? Right.
Is the $5,400 worth it, especially when I have to almost get stressed out about the number of times that I go in a year as far as whether or not I'm making it worth it, so to speak? Is it really worth that aggravation? I mean...
Right. It's getting harder and harder to justify it, especially now that the PhotoPass has dropped from it, and the other
that's
perks.
Another thing. You have to add that.
Right, another $100.
I have not done. I think you have added yours, though, haven't you?
Well, so I still haven't renewed into the Incredipass or whatever the heck it's called yet, because my renewal just happened to be right before they changed all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so
you still have it?
I still have PhotoPass until I renew this next time.
Oh, cool. So that means you could probably get my photos for me, right?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I totally can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I went through the other day, by the way. I noticed that the day that we rode Guardians, all of a sudden, like, a photo of you and Aiden showed up. And I'm like, that's weird. Saying that you rode that day that I rode, which was very odd, which I know weird. Couldn't possibly happen. No. But it just so happens, there's also other photos to review. Yeah. And then when I went and did that, I was able to find the one of Maddie and I.
Yeah, I've noticed that happens sometimes. It shows, like, yours show up as, like, are you sure this is you? Verify this. Yeah. And then sometimes they're not. So
the funny thing, all the review ones I have, like, mine just so happens that they are in there, but there's, like, several usually of, like, not me. It's pretty obviously not me. That for some reason they show up in there. But I guess they do it to try to make sure that they get everybody they can. They just give you, like, a section. They know what time you went through, since it didn't exactly pick you up.
Right. It took, like, days for the Cosmic Rewind photos to show up on mine the first time.
Really?
Yeah, it was like I couldn't find them at all. And they're like, oh, well, I guess I didn't get them for whatever reason. And all of a sudden, like 3 days later, they showed up. Weird.
Did you go look at the review ones and see if they were in there?
Yeah, they weren't in there. Yeah, there was no reviews, yeah.
Yeah, because I thought whenever it said that, I thought it kept giving me a notification. I thought, well, I'm looking, I see all the same photos. I don't see any new ones. But then I noticed, there's some that I tap here, and I get to go between them and see if these are mine or not. And it asks me if those are mine or not.
Yeah.
Anyway, to keep things moving along, the Galactic Star Cruiser, they're actually putting out a survey, I guess is what it was. What was it they were putting up? Or a study? It was almost like a group study, I guess, about why it's not getting as good reviews as they had hoped, or why the ends of the spectrum. Just to give you an example, say if you just go to Google it, right, like reviews of the Star Cruiser, just the Google reviews, the Google review summary, there's like total opposite ends of the spectrum. It's all or nothing, right? It's got an average of 3.6, but it's like a bunch of 5 ones, and the next best category is the ones. Like there's no in between. Like it's a love-hate thing. And, if you go to the ones, a lot of the complaints, of course, are the price point for the experience, right? Just to give you an example, this is one from like 3 months ago. It says price is really high. Obviously, rooms are not... it says not very small, but I think they mean very small. But the hallway inside the room is too narrow for a regular wheelchair, is what they said. They said the food is good, but picky eaters end up with really cheap food. Family could be on different missions. They could put as a potential downside. People complaining about the transport truck, as they put it.
Okay.
Feeling
is it bumpy or something?
This is one of those things where it suffers from the problem of people know too much, I think, in that case. They know what it is, so they... compare it though, right? Some people have stupid complaints like no pool, no spa. I mean,
no galactic pool.
It's a different.
No back-to-tanks.
These are the people that don't get it. Right?
That's what I would try and make a very Star Warsy review.
Right.
There was no back-to-tank in my room, and I cut myself with my lightsaber when I needed some healing.
I was like, look, I have Disney Plus, so I expected a back-to-tank.
Yeah, exactly. I've watched enough series to know that every room should have a back-to-tank.
Anyway, I wasn't going to go through any more reviews, but basically they're doing a study as to find out why it's not doing as well as they had hoped. And to go along with that, the bookings are obviously not as full, I guess, as they would hoped. Like... so it's kind of hard to gauge that, because if they have some availability in the coming months, right, compared to the total sellouts that they had, they could just mean there's one cabin available for all we know. It might just be a couple, so they may be filling up a lot of them still, but I think it's not doing as well as they would have liked.
Right. I'm sure it is, and I think I saw someone say that there's tons of availability later in the year, like from August to like the end of the year.
Right, but then, like I said, once again, somebody pointed out, you see that there's plenty of days with availability, but how much availability?
Yeah.
There could just be one cabin available on each day for all we know.
Right.
Do you
We
know what I
know
mean?
there's only, 100 rooms,
Yeah.
so it's not a huge,
Yeah.
not a big...
I would think they would consider one sailing a success if they filled up all but one still. I think they would still consider that successful if that were the case. I kind of doubt it is the case, but...
If Disney invited us on a, like, media influencer
Right.
tour, do you think you would enjoy it? If you didn't have to pay,
Well,
of course.
because I didn't have to
Right.
pay. Of course we would.
Right.
You would feel like you're getting a great experience because you didn't have to put anything out of pocket.
Exactly.
So yeah, the cost does matter.
Yeah.
Whether people think that doesn't or not, it does matter to a degree. I mean, there's a certain cost you expect to have going along with Disney, but at the same time, you still gauge the value. There's still a scale there.
Yeah.
But for the next story, Disney makes the 120-minute rule official. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
On Disney Genie Plus, about the 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's never in their official stuff, the 120-minute rule, believe it or not, even though we kind of just...
Right. Well, they won't let
Like for
you
us.
book one and says you have to wait X amount until you can get another one.
Right. So they made it official now that it's 120 minutes or 2 hours between there. But, you know, it just really, when I say it was unofficial before, whenever you did it, like if you tried to book one, it says you have to wait until, and it gave a time. Now the time was 2 hours between the last selection, but it nothing like officially ever said that it was 2 hours. It was every 2 hours. Do you see what I'm getting? You see what I'm getting at there?
Right.
Disney officially never said anything. The people who like watch this stuff, study this stuff, people like us that we talk about it like it's natural, right?
Yeah.
But the average person when they're looking at the rules for Genie Plus, they're not going to find it.
Yeah.
So now they will.
Right on. Just make it where you can modify them. Like, come on, just please. Preferably in the next, 72 hours. But
Good luck with that one.
I'll tell you next week.
I will say, like I said, the way it works right now, and I said it on my trip, one of the best ways you can have a good time is to basically spend your morning not doing fun stuff. Just
stack them up.
Well, I guess you can still spend it doing fun stuff because you only can pick once every 2 hours. I guess you could pick once and then go do something for 2 hours and then just make sure you're keeping up with the time to come do it again. But stacking, yes, would be the funnest way to do it. So, and then you got to be able to choose wisely.
He chose wisely. Yeah. Speaking of the Grail, that's another callback.
Mm-hmm.
Minivans are back, and are they officially back? Right?
I think so.
As of June,
it was the 29th.
29th. So by the
the
time
official day.
It will be.
Speaking of which, though, what we've seen so far, the prices are pretty close to on par with what they were when we last left off, at least for the moment. So
yeah. I saw this thing that Blog Mickey posted where they did an Animal Kingdom to Magic Kingdom, and they looked at the comparison between lift, regular lift, and minivan.
Mm-hmm.
From Animal Kingdom to Magic Kingdom, $45, almost $46 for a minivan, and a regular lift would be $14.95 so $15 or $46. Yeah.
Right. Well, what I meant about the
Three
on par,
times.
it was on par from what it was in 2019. When
Right,
we
the
last
minivan
used it.
price has always been 3 times more than a regular Uber or Lyft.
Right.
But they also have, I guess, better access, a little bit better access for certain, I think at Magic Kingdom, Uber and Lyft have to drop you off at TTC, right? Whereas minivan can drop you at the bus stop.
Yeah, there is that. So I guess that's what
one
you're paying.
advantage, I guess. But
That's why you're paying 3 times more for that distance
that
between
one thing. Yeah, if you happen to be going to Magic Kingdom. Otherwise,
this is between
what's the
Transportation Ticket
difference?
Center.
Yeah. What's the difference in other
Right.
parks?
Well, I remember when we were staying at Coronado, right? One of the reasons why I drove everywhere else, but when it came to Magic Kingdom, I got a minivan to take us because that was just going to be easier, truthfully.
Yeah.
And I think that day, though, instead of getting one to come pick us up, we actually took the bus back. I actually bragged on the bus transportation this last time. I mean, my experiences, the times I used it were good. So, yeah.
You actually said that. Okay. Bus.
I know, but, well, because the timing was good, for one thing. They were not dragging. So,
but they weren't like super busy, especially at Coronado with the bus stops. Like,
not the ones that I went to. Of course, I went to the one that was the closest one to me was actually at the Destino bus
tower.
stop.
Yeah. Right, because you were near the convention center.
Mm-hmm.
Made sense. Anyway.
So, of course, now the time that I went to the bus stop was later in the day. It wasn't first thing in the morning, so
right.
It could have something to do with it too. But it all worked out. I mean, I never had to really wait more than 5 minutes, I think, on a bus when it happened for me.
So our friend BioReconstruct, which we don't really know him, but he's everybody's friend.
I feel like I do. Yeah.
Did some more recent aerial photos of Epcot, and you can see what people call the pit of despair.
I thought that was the Journey of Water. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Right, the pit of despair is the Journey of Water, or will be.
Oh.
Anyway, basically that whole side is kind of sad looking, and will continue to be for quite some time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
For another year or so, I'm guessing.
I guess because the ocean is straight up Cookie Dukes.
What?
You have watched Moana, have you not?
Cookie Dukes?
Yes.
I don't remember.
You don't remember whenever...
Haven't watched it recently.
Let's see. She's saying something about the ocean choosing her, and Maui's saying something about the ocean, though. He's like, the ocean's straight up Cookie Dukes. He says that.
Well, I know you've watched Moana like 700 times, so... I've only watched it like 5, so...
100? No.
5.
About 5.
5.
I've been seeing a lot of the tweets that Parkeology has been putting out about the classic animatronics specifically, but they've done a lot of Epcot in particular, and just seeing that and making the comments on it, and I'm thinking, maybe it's the nostalgia talking, but Epcot prior to the first original attraction makeover is still my favorite overall version of Epcot. It still is, no matter what they've brought, even though some of the attractions they brought along and individually have been good, but
right.
As a whole,
Yeah, I would much prefer the old Epcot, too.
I mean, let's see, it was 1994, I think, was when the first overhaul of one of the lands or one of the attractions actually took place. Everything up until that point was built new, if it was new, right? Like the Living Seas was built its own. Wonders of Life was built its own. Norway with the Maelstrom was built from the ground up. But the first overhaul of an existing attraction was the land, and it was both Kitchen Cabaret, and they listened to the land to be living with the land, which I got to be honest, I never fully understood the reason why for that, unless it had something to do with Nestle wanted to change it, because Nestle took over as sponsorship instead of Kraft.
Yeah, usually that's what it is, sponsor change, they want to do something.
Or updating from Kitchen Cabaret to Food Rocks. Maybe it was the fact that the nutrition information had probably changed between the 82 and 94. I don't know.
It's possible.
I mean, because I know they used to always... It's funny when I listen back to the Kitchen Cabaret, like the song where she says describing the 5 food groups is what it was back when we were kids, Yeah. Dairy, bread, cereal, meat, fruit, and vegetables. Like, you don't hear that nowadays as far as a nutrition standpoint.
Back when Pluto was the planet still, too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things you hear on there. Like, a lot of people would say, a lot of those things you don't even need. Like, vegetables are all you need in some cases, or
right.
Gluten's bad,
Yeah.
all of this stuff. Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah. Quite interesting. That and... it's kind of questionable if some of the jokes and some of the things they said during the show might not be considered outdated now. Yeah, but I mean, some of the way they did the, the refrigerator scene, some of the lines maybe given would probably were were kind of suggestive and probably not be taken well in today's
I'd have to go back and watch it. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But of course, they could have kept the veggie fruit song.
And now it lives on at Cosmic Rewind.
I was going to say, that would have made Quill happy.
Right. Speaking of Epcot, in that area right over there, we alluded to this in the last episode where James was talking about sitting in their Connections Eatery.
Ah, yes.
Before lunch, but cast members are restricting access to guests sitting there that are just trying to get out of the heat and not actually eat or drink something from Connections Eatery.
How dare they?
Which, like, you can literally just walk in there, so I get why people would want to be like, hey, let's just sit here for a while and chill. But if you're actually going through the line getting food, you have nowhere to sit. So.
Well, I don't know if chill is the proper word. It'd probably be more like, let's go from 104 to about 90 based on what they're setting the air at now. Yeah. Just slight relief in comparison.
A little bit,
yeah.
No, but I get why they're doing that. That makes sense. But I wonder, though, if they're going to stop you from sitting down if you don't have food at all, or if some of your party's waiting in line. Is that okay? Or is this like a, nope, you got to wait till you get food before you can sit down kind of thing?
I don't know. I just think that if they catch it, they probably would say, like, are you waiting on your food?
Get up.
If you just say yes and lie about it, they probably wouldn't bother you.
No, there's always ways, though. Anyway.
Well, then again, I think they discourage reserving tables, so they probably want you to have your food before you sit down. I think I remember seeing that somewhere. So,
yeah. Well, anyway, that's happening.
Until the popularity dies down, that will happen.
Yeah. And I think it's right next to Guardians, so that's another reason why it's going to be really popular.
Right.
Another reason why it's busy.
Speaking of Guardians, I can't remember if I said this on the previous episode or not, but I fully expect the boarding groups to be gone sooner rather than later, just because of how efficient it's been running.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been times reported, like if you don't get the morning group, like the 1 o'clock boarding group. You never heard this with Rice. The 1 o'clock boarding group would be open for like there'd be groups available for like 15 minutes for the 1 o'clock boarding groups. So,
in a sense, I like the boarding groups because it is so much easier to get.
Oh yeah,
and you kind of hold a spot not really hold a spot in line, but you kind of, it's almost like a lightning lane, even though you're waiting 45 minutes to get on it. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like you have a time that you can go and do it. And as I've proved, you don't have to go during that hour window that your group is called. You can just show up and you'll get in, most likely. I'm
still overall against the idea of boarding groups being your only opportunity to ride something.
Right.
I guess in this instance, it's not your only opportunity. You could also buy your way in as long as that's available.
Right, of course you can buy your way in.
As far as like the system of like being able to reserve your time, heck, why not they just do everything with the boarding group?
Well,
and just narrow it, that'll thin the boarding group times out, and then that would be too efficient, though.
Probably. I do like it, though, in the sense that you have it and you're not going to have to wait 4 hours in line for, which I don't know.
You're pretty much guaranteed to ride.
Right. And I don't think you ever would wait 4 hours for this, but it'd probably get up to 2 at least throughout the day.
Whereas, from what I can tell with Lightning Lane, they're really strict. Like, you better not miss that time. They better not miss that window.
Yeah. You'd probably have to beg, or you'd have to go like to guest services, and you could get it.
I gave you an example when I was at Coronado. I mean, it's kind of sad because the reason why she said this was because it happened so frequently. She thanked me for not yelling.
Yeah.
about the situation that I had with my Lightning Lane.
Especially if you're paying for it.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny that a free virtual queue, you can show up any time of the day and they'll let you in. But if you pay for the Lightning Lane for a specific window and you don't show up during that window and you show up later, they're going to not let you in. That is kind of funny that you literally paid for this one and they won't let you in. You get the other one for free, come right on in. Because you're not cutting the line. You're just waiting in the standby, essentially. But
There you go.
that's the reason why.
Oh, you know what? I just found earlier what I was talking about that was different about Hoop-Dee-Doo. It wasn't anything too terribly major, but it says they removed their trademark buckets from the food service and replaced them with generic skillets. That's what it was.
Oh, that's right, because they used to just dump it in buckets. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that.
They did do away with that. I knew there was something they changed. It took me a minute to find it, though.
I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is
Right.
the end of the world. No.
I did see a 50th anniversary collection, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea t-shirt that looks pretty cool. Just the fact that it's a classic tee, a classic attraction tee.
Right. Yeah, they do keep churning out some merch here and there, and you're like, every now and then I see something, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't know they did that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing that we kind of touched on last week was that James saw it, the demolition of the Spirit of Aloha area of Polynesian. Yeah, they're ready to build this tower like soon. They're going to be like...
Oh, of course. They're going to be working on doing that because they're going to be able to launch this and charge more.
Right, exactly.
And I really wonder, I had heard on another podcast the possibility of, they mentioned another monorail stop, and I'm like, that seems awfully short distance for that. But then I got to looking at where it actually is in comparison to the Grand, and I'm like, you know what? I don't rule out the possibility that they might not do another monorail stop right there. It'd be pretty short in comparison to some of the others, but it's no shorter than, say, from the Grand to Magic Kingdom. I mean, to be quite honest, you would think it would be shorter than that, but it's really not.
Yeah, I guess you could do a DVC/wedding pavilion monorail stop.
Well, I didn't even have to. They'll do it. They would do it solely for the DVC.
But I'm just saying it's very close to the wedding pavilion at that point.
I know Luau Cove is on Polly's resort property, but it was, anyone who ever went to it before knows that it was still a pretty good hike from where you would normally, like the regular resort area, to get to it. If you'd ever gone to it before, it was a decent walk, even though it all looks somewhat close together. It would be similar to, say, a Riviera sitting that close to Caribbean, right? That used to be Caribbean Beach, right?
Right.
It'd be like a separate DVC that's that close to another resort.
Yeah.
So it would probably have its own food in that area as well. And again, I don't rule out the possibility of a monorail stop. I'm not saying it will, but I don't rule it out because the people from that building are probably going to have to walk a little further than even if you were, say, staying at Pago Pago or Moorea to get to the main ceremonial house. I mean, we're talking even longer than that distance-wise. And do you really want to do that to your people that are going to be paying what you're going to pay for DVC?
Well, look at how far the Grand Floridian's building is from the monorail. That's ridiculous.
Are you talking about the DVC buildings?
Yeah, the DVC.
I think this would be further. I think it would. Maybe.
I mean, it's still far. The Grand Floridian one is far.
Well, even let's give an example. Contemporary, when they built theirs, they built a walkway.
Yeah,
adjoining the two buildings
to the monorail, right,
because they knew that they needed to do something.
Well, it's not the same level as the monorail, but it's the main concourse area.
No, it's not the same level. I thought it was.
You have to go up to get to.
I thought where that one came across was at the same level as monorail, though. It's not.
Huh. It's the same level as the gift shop and the whatever. You have to go up a level to get to the monorail platform.
Okay.
Because that's Chef Mickey's and all that is on 4, and that's where you have to go up to get to the monorail platform, I believe. Anyway, still, it's it's way more convenient. It's a covered walkway that gets you right into the main building versus, this long... It is still covered at the Grand Floridian, but it is a long walk to the main building. When
I've been looking at the pictures here lately, and by the time this actually gets released, it may already be gone, but I've noticed that the demolition of that area, the things that have been demolished thus far are really just the seating area. The stage is still, for whatever reason, they've left that for last. I don't know if there's a reason behind it. So they started with the seating area, but the stage is still there. If you look at the photo, I could point out to you where the stage is. The stage where they did the show is still there for some reason. I don't know if it's just randomly how they chose to do it, but they kind of they started from the back of the building and moved forward. And at this point, the stage is still standing, roof and all. That's that part that's still standing right there.
I'm still standing.
Yep. And what's funny is, with all that shrubbery, like the trees and stuff, anytime you would ride the monorail and ride by there, I would never even think about the fact that, that's Luau Cove there. I mean, I would just never would have thought about that until now that it's being demolished and all knocked down. Now you see it clear as day. You could probably see the stage from the monorail probably. So that would be a different perspective.
All right, well, we should wrap this up. Any other stories you can think of?
Comments to want to make?
Any other last
I could probably
minute?
think of tons of things if I really wanted to.
Well, don't. Think of one and just go with it.
You just want me to do one thing?
You got a minute and a half.
It's a glorious 3-hour finale. Did we mention about the Wish coming in? I don't think we ever did that on the
watched
show.
it come in. Yeah, came into port.
And now it's left again, I think, because they had some issues. Because
what was
they've had like 2 failed test cruises at this point.
Yikes. Well, you got to get it straightened out.
Yeah. Well, July 14th is supposed to be the first official sailing.
Yeah.
Let's see, what was it? The second test cruise was canceled. It was set for the 24th, which probably by the time you listen to this was approximately a week ago, was canceled. The sources indicate that it's facing a number of challenges for some reason, getting it ready for sail. Man, it's like, it's almost like the only thing that Disney has put together in the last couple of years that's actually worked like it was supposed to has been Guardians.
Yeah, right. I was thinking that. Guardians has been the smoothest so far, knock on wood, of anything they've done recently, the last 3-4 years.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like they took their time with it. Some of this other stuff they tried to hurry up and get out. Well, the weird thing is, though, like Ratatouille, right?
Yeah. They took their time with it, but it's not very reliable compared to...
Right. And what doesn't make sense there is it was the exact same ride as something that already exists. Why are they having the issues?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Go figure. Well, let's wrap this news thing up by saying you can, if you want to, visit Disney or Universal or Disney Cruise and you need some guidance along the way. We have a travel agent friend that can help you book and give you tips and advice. Her name is Jill Dilbeck, and her email address is jilldilbeck@gmail.com. You can also go to our website. There's a link there for that and many more things, travelingwiththemouse.com. Email address, podcast@travelingwiththemouse.com. And where else are we found?
We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That is all at TWTM Podcast. We have a Spreadshirt store in which you can buy your exclusive TWTM merchandise. And, of course, we do have a YouTube channel. That is TWTM Podcast as well. You can search that. The latest video I had up there was, of course, the ride on Guardians. And I actually added an Everest video, but I'm not really pleased with the quality, so I think I'm going to take it down and replace it with a better quality of that video. I tried to do it strictly from the phone. So you can find that. That's it.
So for John, this has been Adam and Traveling with the Mouse, and we hope you will join us on our next trip.